this episode of Agenda from Connaught Place, and you can see behind me the beautiful vista over there. Today, in the BJP office, the government has started a new initiative. It's always been talked about that there's not enough coordination, especially there was a problem with the UPA, between the government and the party. So there's a roster system that's been set up where the ministers from today are sitting in office. It's part of the many diktats that Narendra Modi has set for his party, his MPs and for bureaucrats as well. To talk about that, joining us we have Babul Supriyo, first-time MP of the BJP. We also have Amitabh Pandey, a former bureaucrat, and Nilanjan Mukhopadyay, who is Narendra Modi's biographer. But before we get and talk to them to dissect exactly what's happening there and whether that's what we need in India, first a look at how the party is being changed and how the government is being changed.
It's an attempt to improve the coordination between the government and the party through interaction with ministers and party workers, where even a roster for ministers has been prepared. Question is, will it work?
This will act as a link between the government and the party and workers. We feel party workers, they deserve attention from the party leadership who are in the government.
I'm happy to be the first person to receive the applications in the party office.
So we start off with our first talking point. These diktats and this new way of functioning that we are seeing. Is that what's needed? Is it direction as opposed to what many feel was the directionless of the previous government? Babul Supriyo, are you a huge fan of the way, I know that you've just come right now from a training session?
That's right. Well, you know, when you're getting into a system, it's very important to understand what the system is. It's very important to know why your captain has won the toss and elected to bat. So I have no problems at all to have our captain, which is of course our PM Modi Sahab, giving us the 10 commandments. I think if you have a clear picture, if there is a clarity of thought, I think the onus...
Is he strict with you all?
Not at all. He's very...
I heard that he's told all MPs, you can't bunk, you have to be in parliament all the time. And that's why all these young people, they are huge fans of him.
Well, they should be huge fan of him because I think that the most important thing, see, your team is as good as the captain. I would bend the important saying in cricket to actually accommodate what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
I really think that if you have one person who has a very clear road ahead in front of you, and you have a minimum guarantee, as we say in films, MG, to fulfill, I think that makes the job for everyone, whether it's a first-time MP or a last-time MP, much more clearer. And I think I love that picture. I love that picture.
Babul Supriyo giving us a very positive image. But you know, you have studied his style. It's what we have read about in Gujarat as well. Do you think it works? We've seen it in, perhaps for MPs it's working. In the party today it's been started. Do you think that's what it's giving that direction?
You know, I do not know whether it is going to work or not, too early for us to say, but Mr. Modi has always had this great fascination for a big ticket program. He's always been, you know, innovation has always been his weapon. He's always done something very startling, something very dramatic, always aimed at the top headline. He does not want to settle for the second lead or the third lead position in a newspaper, you know, front page. So given that kind of an, you know, approach of his in terms of running the government or in terms of his governance, he is going to innovate, and this is definitely one of the early steps that we are seeing.
Early steps that we are seeing. And perhaps these are the kind of things that people are really talking about. But, you know, the bureaucrats seem a little divided. As someone who retired in 2008, that's banked or perhaps in the latter half of UPA when things were going bad, do you think this is what bureaucrats needed?
No, I think the 10 commandments by themselves are unexceptional. And as far as bureaucrats are concerned, all it says is innovate and be bold, which is a very good thing. And
clean up files, get rid of files, have cleanliness there, don't have files over there.
You know,
sending people home if they come late.
At that level of government, if you are required to keep a watch on your bureaucrats, then I must say morale has broken down completely.
Morale is broken down.
Yeah,
okay.
because we're all self-motivated. At that level of government, we have to be self-motivated. You do things because you want to do those things, not because you've been told to do those things. So I don't think it works at that level. But it's certainly to ask someone to be punctual and to be. It sends a appropriate enough signal, but it's not something which you can labor on and really
labor. And you feel this may be bordering on laboring on?
I don't know. I have to compare notes with the people working there and actually working there. But by reputation, this is not Modi's reputation. In Gujarat, the reputation one has heard, and my batchmate was his chief secretary for 5 years.
Yeah, tell us.
His reputation was one that he delegated, he listened, and he empowered you. And that is something which is that is what really is required. You require to motivate people.
Yeah, okay, so that's interesting because you're talking about delegation, empowerment and listening. And listening perhaps is what we've seen first of all when in a rare that meeting that he had with people. Young people have a lot to say about that, especially when we put this topic up. All of them actually flooded us saying that, this is a good thing. All of you, what would you?
Well, it's definitely something which is innovative and something which is breaking the stereotype, and hence we're hopeful that there will be a positive change. But like Sir just said, if someone that senior needs to be told to do something and it's not coming from within, maybe that's not the right way to go about. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing.
Babul Supriyo, the thing, perhaps you're new right now, so I wouldn't want you to, now you're new, you don't mind taking directions. For the ministers to be told to come to party office, do you think that could backfire? I mean, is that...
Well, there's so many daughters here. Ask them, all their fathers know. I mean, I'm sure quite a few of them might be having fathers who smoke. You tell your dads not to smoke and then ask them how many times they need to be reminded, how many times they need to be reprimanded for that policy. Something that is going to be loved by the family is actually executed. I am not at all going to, it's important for a leader to have a clear vision. And like I'm coming from filmdom, so as I would say that if you are doing a film, you need to have good faith in your director. If the director lays out a clear picture about the film, and if that is a big picture, I think you should just be quiet and follow that. I don't find there should be, when it is coming, there should be no ego issues. Bureaucrats, well, they were there, what happened in the last 10 years? It did not work. If the minister did not deliver, the bureaucrats are sometimes supposed to remind them about a few things. It did not happen. So if there is a lax that is happening from the governance, then it has to, it transpires, it also transcends on the bureaucracy. So a little bit of self-governance is required. Yeah,
it's interesting. If I hear what you're saying, some of the things that some people are ringing warning bells about is that they're saying that he's told people not to talk to the media. Of course, we are expected to complain about that. But, it's a double-edged sword because it means that he doesn't want transparency. Many people are seeing it as that. Do you think that could be a problem?
Well, I think so. If a government which does not want to be transparent, that obviously means only that person who wishes to hide something wants to actually tamper with the basic systems and the structures which are there of governance. India is built on the Westminster model. We follow the cabinet system of governance. To the best of our knowledge, from the little bit of information that is seeped outside this government, I use the word seeped outside because it's just kind of oozing out. You know, it appears that cabinet meetings are no longer deliberative exercises. There have been reports that cabinet meetings are summoned and Mr. Modi does not go and attend it for the first half an hour because he expects that the entire debate to have been conducted in absentia. And when he goes that, okay, have you guys decided? If you have not decided anything, then this is what I propose. Is there anybody who disagrees? Now, this is the kind of a style which was perfected in Gujarat. It was very successful because Gujarat, at the end of it, you have to understand, had just about contributed to 5% of India. It sent only 26 members to Lok Sabha, which is just 5% of the total strength. Now, you can govern a very small state like Gujarat in such a close-knit, tightly held fashion. But I do not think it is going to work in a country which is as diverse, as plural as in India. You got to give each of your decision makers, your team makers, much more elbow room than what you're giving in a Modi ka Pathshala. Okay, Modi ka Pathshala, and young people, all of these people who are in Pathshala, do you agree with what he's saying?
Well, to a certain level, I do agree. However, at the same time, I feel Mr. Modi does have a very clear agenda. I think he's well worked out on his plan and he knows what he's doing. So
that's what Babul Supriyo
Yeah, so I feel this is like one of his first steps towards efficient government. Efficiency in the governance. We all keep cribbing about how things don't happen, how things don't work. So probably, I think this is the first step towards making a little more efficient than it is.
You think so too?
I don't know about his plans or something. What I feel is that at present, our country needs both the private and the government sector to work equally. So if people are very strict about attendance in the private sector, then why not this government sector?
Yeah. And I think perhaps one of the things that people are talking about is the fear that it was seen that the previous government wasn't being effective enough. The Babus also perhaps have a reputation of being lazy, of not doing. And that's why do you think the public favour, the public sympathy is with Mr. Modi's style of functioning? Would you say so, sir?
I don't know whether it was the style of functioning of the last government or genuine political problems with the two centres of control.
Okay.
So, for the bureaucracy also, if you don't know who is the one taking decisions, you wouldn't be able to take any decision. So, to that extent, the idea of a clear centre of authority whom you can directly access is a good thing. However, if that results in kind of a control situation where you're trying to control and monitor every aspect of a bureaucrat's activity, then you're in for trouble.
Okay, on that note, we'll take a short break. When we come back, the final question, that does this mean, is there sometimes a problem of overmanagement or not? And I want to go through the 10 commandments with the panel over here, one by one, to figure out which ones they give a thumbs up to, which ones not. Be right back.